Alrighty, gang, we are about to do this practice test. So let's get it up. Let's get our exam up. Let's get our trusty calculator up. Here we go. Okay, so to begin with, don't forget to put your name on it. So I am going to put my name, Mr. Williams, and my house is my home. Alrighty, so as we then sit down to do this question, let's do question 1 first. Complete the following tables of conversions between percentages. So to go from fraction to decimal, all you really need to do is literally take your calculator, 3 divided by 4, because the fraction is 3/4, and we get 0.75. And as a percentage, you just take that number and multiply it by 100. Oops, by 100 gives us 75%. For the next one, working out, starting with the decimal, of course, if we want to go from a decimal to a percentage, we just multiply by 100 and we will get 90%. And what is 9/10? 0.9 as a decimal is always, the best way to do this is to always call it 9/10 and then simplify that fraction if you can. This one we can't. There's no numbers that divide into 9 and 10 evenly, obviously, except for 1. That just leaves the last one, 15%. How am I going to work out what that is as a decimal? Well, to go from decimal to percentage, we multiply by 100. So to go from percentage to decimal, we're going to divide by 100. So we're going to take 15, divide it by 100 on the calculator, and we are going to get 0.15. Now, 15% can always be written as a decimal as 15 on 100. You could have done that with 90 on 100 with the previous question. But 15 on 100 can be simplified. Both of those divide by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And 100 divided by, well, not dividing by 3, we should be dividing by 5. Because 100 doesn't divide by 3, so let's do that again. 15, oops, not 115. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So put that in there. And 100 divided by 5 is 20. So I'll put that in there, and we're going to get 3/20. So always check your fraction answer. Make sure you can't simplify it further. But this one we can't. Question 2. State the coordinates of the following points. So question A basically boils down to, can we work out what that value is for the x and that value is for the y? Now that one is 8, and 1, 2, 3 up. That one's 3, so the coordinates are 8 and 3 for point A. For point B, we're going in the negative direction in the x, so we're at -2 there, and we're at -7 down here in the y. So when we put down the coordinates for that one, x is -2 and y is -7. And that just leaves point C, this last one. What's its x coordinate? It's 1 before -10, so that's -9. And its y coordinate here is, that would be 9, so that one is 8. So it's going to be -9, 8. There's 3 easy marks for us. Let's move on to question 3. Where did question 3 go? There it is. Complete the following statement. Table, the number of sides in this shape versus the sum of the angles in the shape. Right, well, if the angles add up to 360, can we think of a shape that has angles add up to 360? I know a square does, with 4 right angles, and that obviously has 4 sides. Sum of angles in a shape, well, triangles are the ones that add up to 180, and triangles have 3 sides. So can we then go on and do this question, find the unknown angles? Right, if this question 1, if this is a triangle, it means that these 3 angles here have got to add up to 180. So how about I add up the first 2? 46 plus 92. So if we do 46 on the calculator, that's 44. 46 plus 92, we're going to get 138. So then what I need to do is say 180 minus 138 will give me what that leftover x is. So 180 minus 138 is 42. Perfect. Now, for the second one, we've got the same sort of game, but this time there's 4 angles. So given that there's 4 angles and it's a quadrilateral, they have to add up to 360. So the first thing I'm going to do is add up the 3 angles first. So we're going to have 51 plus 129 plus 57. When we do that, we're going to get 51 plus 129 plus 57 is 237. Now they all have to add up to 237. They all have to add up to 360. So when I put my 7 in there, so then I just do 360 minus 237. Do that on the calculator too. 360 minus 237 gives me 123. So the angle B is 123 degrees. Question 4. State the trigonometric ratio. Right, we're going to start off with writing out what my sine is. Okay, so tan of x is going to be the opposite side over the adjacent. So I now need to label my triangle. This one's obviously the hypotenuse, it's opposite the right angle, that just leaves the 5 and the 12. Well, the angle is sitting up here in the top, so the side that is adjacent to that angle is the 5, so that's the adjacent one. The one that's opposite is the 12, that's the opposite. So now when I start putting my tan question together, it's obviously going to be a fraction, my answer. The top number is going to be the opposite number, which is 12, and the tan bottom number is going to be 5. Sine x is opposite over hypotenuse, so that's the opposite side is 12 over the hypotenuse, which is 13, and cos of x, CAH, is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, so that is going to be 5 over 13. Question 5. Where'd you go? There you are. Find the unknown angle in the two congruent triangles. Right, since they're congruent, what that means is every matching angle should equal each other. So if we start off with this 52 here, and identify that that 52 is between the single dashed line and the double dashed line, what that means is in the other triangle, the angle between the single dashed line and the double dashed line has to be the same. And the single dashed line and double dashed lines are these two, so that angle is x. So x has to match the 52. So put one in there. So now that we know that this angle here is 52, and I know this is a full triangle, I can work out what the y angle is, because those three angles together are going to add up to 180. So let's add those two together too. First, 52 plus 84. So 52 plus 84 gives us 136. So we just have to do 180 minus 136. And so what does that come to? 180 minus 136 gives us 44. So y is going to be equal to 44. 44, oh, I forgot my degrees. Well, make sure you put that in there. Right, that just leaves now this Z angle there. Now, the way to work out that Z angle is to consider that for the other triangle, we now have all three angles. So we just have to work out which one that Z angle corresponds to. So the Z angle sits in between the double dash line here and the triple dash line there. So I'm going to find the same angle that sits between the double dash and the triple dash, and it turns out that one is the Y angle. There's the double. There's the triple dash there. The y angle is the one in between them, so that the y angle must therefore be equal to the z angle, and that makes the z angle also 44 degrees. Right. Moving on, question 6. Ooh, we lost question 6. Where is it? There it is. Calculate both the x and y intercepts for this equation. Right. Well, the trick to x and y intercepts is to make the other letter equal to 0. So how about we do that? To find the x-intercept, we make y equal to 0. And that means that our equation 5x minus 2y equals 10 becomes 5x minus 2 times 0 equals 10. That's 5x minus nothing. So 5x equals 10. Now how do I get from here? Well, I've got to divide both of these numbers by 5. Will give me that 1x is equal to 2. Essentially 5x equals 10. You're answering the question 5 times what is 10? The answer x is 2. For the y-intercept, we've got to do the same thing, but we've got to make x equal to 0. And if I do that, I'll have an equation that is 5 times 0 minus 2y equals 10. And then from there, that's 0 minus 2y. 0 minus 2y is 10, which means negative 2y, it's important to realise that negative still hangs around, is 10, and 1y is going to be whatever 10 divided by negative 2 is, because I just divide both these numbers by negative 2, and that turns out to be negative 5. So now that I know that it's -5, question C says sketch the graph. So all I really need to do to sketch the graph is sketch the two intercepts. The x-intercept is 2, so let's put a big dot there for 2. The y-intercept is -5. Let's put a big dot down there for -5. And then all you've got to do is grab your ruler and join those dots. So as good as I can do it, oh, that is terrible, without, of course, having a ruler on my computer screen. We want our line to go up like that. It's got to be as straight as possible. So do a rule in the test, do it with a ruler. Okay, question 7. Millie works as a ride operator at Luna Park. She earns $12 an hour, and on weekends she gets paid time and a half. So what time and a half literally means is that she gets her normal amount of money plus half of that amount of money. So she actually gets more. How much more? Well, we have to work out what half of 12 is. So 12 divided by 2 is equal to, you should be able to do this one in your head, but let's do it on the calculator to be sure. It's 6. So therefore, Millie is going to get 12 plus $6, which, again, we probably can do without a calculator, but 12 plus 6 is $18. So the answer, she will get $18 an hour on weekends. Now, if Millie works, question B, if she works 5 hours a day, every day in the week, how much will she earn on a weekday? Well, if it's a weekday, she's earning $12 a week, and she's $12 an hour, and she's working 5 hours. So $12 an hour working 5 hours is 12 times 5, which our calculator tells us is 60. So she will earn $60 on a weekday, and on a weekend, she's earning $18 an hour, so it's going to be 18 times 5, because she's working 5 hours still. So 18 times 5 gives us $90. $90. So then that's that one done. Question C then says, if Millie works 5 hours a day, every day from Thursday to Sunday, how much would she make? She's working on Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And how much is she earning on a Thursday? Well, we just did that question. She's earning $60 on a Thursday because it's a weekday. She's earning $60 on a Friday because that's also a weekday. Saturday is a weekend, so she's earning $90 on a Saturday. And Sunday is also a weekend, so she's earning $90 there. So we're just going to add up that total amount of money, and that's going to be the amount of money Millie makes. So 60, oops, wrong button. 60 plus another 60 plus 90 plus 90 is $300. $300 she will make over those 4 days. Rightio, Declan. He sells hot dogs for $3.50 each at his Luna Park stand, and it only costs him $2.20 for the ingredients. So how much profit is he making? Well, the profit that he makes is how much money he's left over, more than he had when he began. So when he began, he had to spend $2.20 to buy the ingredients for a hot dog. And then if he sells it for $3.50, the difference between those two is how much money he's going to have left in his pocket. So I just have to work out what $3.50, it's still dot as well, minus $2.20 is, and I can do that with my calculator. $3.50 minus $2.20 is $1.3, which in money terms makes it $1.30. So what is the profit margin on Declan's hot dogs? Well, what the profit margin is what percentage of the money you had to spend do you make out of doing this process. The way to work that is always going to be the profit divided by the cost price. So for Declan, the profit was $1.30 and the cost price was $2.20. So we're going to do that on the calculator. $1.30, oh, it's 13, I don't want to do that. $1.30 divided by $2.20 is going to be 0.5950590590590, and that's going to give us 0.591 if we round that and see the number over on the calculator. Now, of course, this is a decimal. The profit margin needs to be a percentage, so we're going to then times this by 100 for the percentage. So times that by 100, I will get 59.1%. But 59 on its own is a good enough number for the answer for this as a whole number. So make sure you read the question and answer to the decimal places that it asks. And if it doesn't ask, you better just do the one that makes the most sense, which is probably going to be no decimal places. Radio. After 4 months, at Luna Park, Millie has saved I've lost my, where did it go? There you are. Saved $2,200. She decides to put her money in the bank where it will earn 4% simple interest. How much interest will Millie earn in 1 year? So how many dollars is that? Well, if it's 4%, all we've got to work out is what 4% of 2,200 is. So 4% of 2,200 is 4 on 100. That's 4%. It's always just the amount of percent on 100, and times that by 2,200. And when I do that, I do 4 divided by 100 times 2,200 gives me $88. She'll earn $88. Now, what is the total value of Millie's bank account at the end of 3 years? Well, if she's earning $88 each year, she's going to have her original 2,200 plus her 88 from the first year, plus her 88 from the second year, plus her 88 from the third year. So we just have to add them together. Now, the hard way to do this is to go 2,200 plus 88 plus 88 plus 88 again to get a grand total of 2,464. But the easy way to do that, we could have just done, well, what's 88 times 3 and added that to 2,200. So 88 times 3 is just 264. 64, and then if I add that to 2,200, you'll see we get the same number. Plus 2,200 gives us $2,464. Both of them are dollars. So 2,400. So she will, after 3 years, she'll have earned a total of 264 extra dollars out of nothing, which is great. Alrighty, question 10, trigonometry. In order to do trigonometry, I'm going to put a gigantic socket up the page to remember to use it, to remember what I need to do. Okay, so for the first one, in order to solve the value of the triangle, I need to determine whether I'm going to do a sine, cos, or tan question. So the best place to start is to ask ourselves what sides are we working with here? We're working with the hypotenuse, which is 7, and the opposite, which is our x. So which of the three relationships uses an O and an H? And it is the sine one. So then we set up the equation. It will be sine of 34 is equal to x over 7. And now I've just got to work out what x is. Now, when the unknown is on the top of the fraction like that, all we need to do to work out the answer is multiply the bottom number, 7, by the sine number, sine of 34. And that gives us, when we do it in the calculator, for you guys, you can literally into your green calculators type in 7 times, press the sine button, and then enter in the angle of 34. For me, on this calculator, I'm going to have to go 7 times, and I'm going to have to do 34 and then press sine so I know what the sine number is, and then press equals to give me 3.914, which simplifies down to 3.91. So that's our final answer for that one. For the second one, again, we've got to play the same game. We're trying to find the unknown. So this time, what sides am I dealing with? I'm dealing with the opposite side, 32, because it's opposite the angle of 62. And I'm dealing with the adjacent side. So which of the three uses adjacent and opposite? And that is tan. So let's set up the tan equation. It'll be tan of 62 is equal to opposite over adjacent, which in this case is 32 over x. And in this question, I've got the unknown on the bottom. So the thing to do when the unknown is on the bottom is literally swap it with the thing on the left-hand side, the tan number, and we'll get an equation that reads x equals 32 divided by tan 62. And you can type that straight into your green calculator. I'm going to do it over here. I'm going to go 32 divided by, and I have to do it in my calculator, I have to do 69 and then tell it I actually do 1 divided by the tan of 62, and that gives us as an answer 17.014. 17.014 is our answer, and that's going to simplify down to 17.01. Last one. This one is asking us to find the angle. So again, let's work out which relationship we're working with here. Which side? We're working with the hypotenuse here and the adjacent here. That's going to be a cos question. So we're going to have cos of my unknown angle theta is going to equal adjacent over hypotenuse all the time. So it's going to be 4.7 divided by 5.6. Now, how do I get the angle out of this? Well, the angle itself is going to equal cos minus 1 of that fraction, which is going to be 4.7 on 5.6. And you can type this literally into your green calculator by pressing second function cos to get the cos minus 1 up, and then literally type that division sum in, or type that fraction in. To do it on this calculator, I'm going to need to do the 4.7 divided by 5.6 first. So let's do that. And I get that number, and then I'm going to inverse or second function cos. For me, the second function button is there. Here's my cos minus 1. I get 33 degrees, 32.9, which is to the nearest whole degree, because we're being asked to do the whole degree, is 33 degrees. Alrighty, moving on. Consider these 2 points. Plot them on a graph. We can put 2, 9 up here, and we can put 6, 7 out there. So 2, 9, the x value is 2, the y value is 9. And for 6, 7, the x value is 6, and the y value is 7. And we're going to find the gradient between these 2 points. So that means the gradient of that line. So the best way to do this is by doing rise over run. So let's work out what rise over run is going to be. Rise over run is, first thing to always work out is the run. So as we go from 2 across to 6, how far across have we gone? From 2 across to 6, we've gone across by 4. So my run is going to be 4. Now my rise, well, notice that this time round I've actually gone down. So as I've gone across by 4, I've gone down by a certain number. And how many have I gone down? Well, I've gone from 9 down to 7. So I've gone down by 2. So my rise, I'm actually going to call negative 2 because it's gone down. So my rise over run, the rise number is negative 2. My run is 4, and so that's negative 2 quarters. And when I simplify that fraction, both those numbers divide by 2. That's negative 1/2. So the gradient of that line is negative 1/2. Now the question says, find the midpoint. And there's a formula there. I'm actually going to write these points again. One of them was 2, 9, and the other one was 6, 7. Now to find a midpoint, what these little 1s and 2s in this formula refer to is that I'm going to call this 0.1 and this one 0.2, which means this is the x value of 0.1 and the y value of 0.1, and this is the x value of 0.2 and the y value of 0.2. So now I just need to plug all of these numbers. So x1 is 2, y1 is 9, x2 is 6, and y2 is 7, and I just need to put those numbers into that formula. Oops, I've gone a little bit too far. So let's do that. x1 is 2, so it's going to be 2 plus x2 is 6. So 2 plus 6 over 2. And the y value is going to be 9 plus 7 over 2. And that works out. 2 plus 6, of course, is 8. So it's 8 on 2. And the y value is 9 plus 7 is 16. So it's 16. You can do those on the calculator if you want, but you might be able to do them in your head. And 8 divided by 2 is going to just be 4, and 16 divided by 2 is just 8. So our answer is the 0.48. So let's have a look at what that means on the graph. What finding the midpoint is doing is it's trying to find the point that is exactly in between the other 2 points. So if we're looking at this particular point and this particular point, the midpoint will be the one exactly in the middle. It'll be that point. And have a look at the coordinates of it. It's at 4 and 8, which is exactly what I told us. Rightio. So moving on to question 12. What is the enlargement factor? So the enlargement factor is just when you take a shape and you blow it up. All of the sides are increased by the same factor. So it might all be times by 2 or 3 or 12. So we've got to work out what this triangle, the big triangle, has been multiplied by to grow from the small one. So the way to do that is to try and find one of the sides where we have both of the numbers. And notice that on the big triangle, the only number we have is 18. And that's on the single dashed line. So I'm going to find the corresponding single dashed line here and say that that one, know that that one is 6. So the little triangle has gone from 6 up to 18 that side. So what's it multiplied by? Well, to work that out, all I need to do is do 18 divided by 6. So I do that on the calculator. I get 3. So that means that all of those sides have been multiplied by 3. That's the scale factor. So then question B goes on to say, well, what is A and B equal to? So the A side, now they've all been multiplied by 3. That's the key. So the A side is the triple line side. The triple line side on the small triangle is 3. So the length of the big one is going to be 3 times 3, which is 9. And so it'll be 9 centimetres. Make sure we remember our units. And for B, what is the length of this side? That's our double line side. So I've got to find the double line side on this triangle and multiply it by 3. So it'll be 9 times 3 is 27 centimetres. And that's perfect marks for that one. Question 13. Oh my goodness, we're nearly there. There's only 15 questions. So, given the following rule for y equals x plus 2, state the gradient and y-intercept. The gradient is always, the standard formula is y equals mx plus c. The number with the x is the gradient, this one is the gradient, and this number here is the y-intercept. So if I can read them off the rule, I can find it straight away. Now, the number with the x, well, there is no number, but there actually is. We've just sneakily not written it, and that number is a 1. So the gradient is going to be 1. And what's the number without an x? Well, the number without an x is just positive 2. So the y-intercept will be plus 2. I can read that straight from the graph. So which of these three lines is that graph? Well, if the y-intercept has to be 2, our line has to cross the y-axis at 2. Notice the green line crosses at 0 and the blue line crosses at 4. So it must be the red line. It has got to be the red line. It's the only one that crosses through 2. Right, let's move on. Question 14. Gabriel has a big fight with his dad at the shops and decides to run away. He got on his bike and rode. The following graph shows the amount of kilometres away from home Gabriel was when he rode his bike away from home. So, how far away from home was Gabriel when he fought with his dad? Well, that's just saying how far away from him was he before he started running away. So that is, if he hadn't started running away yet, there has been 0 hours since he started running away. So we just have to find the y value when x is 0, and that is 10. So he must have started 10 kilometres away from home. Now, how far did Gabriel ride each hour? So what we're really trying to do here is say, well, after 1 hour, how far away was he? Where is that point? What y value is that point? If we follow that back, we get that that's exactly between 10 and 15. That must be 15. So in that first hour, he's gone from 10 to 15. So he will have ridden, probably don't need to write the writing down for this, but he will have ridden 5 kilometres. Which leaves the last question, fill in the blanks for the rule for Gabriel's journey. So what we found with that previous question was actually the gradient. If we do rise over run, say from here to there, we're running across from 0 to 2, so run is 2, and our rise go from 10 to 20, we go up by 10. So if I want to find my gradient, it's 10 divided by 2, which is 5. That's actually what we found in question B. So our gradient number is 5. That's the number that goes with the x. So 5 times the number of hours plus whatever the y-intercept is. And we can see from this one that it is 10. So, is there any more for this one? I think there's one more question on this part. Yes. How long would he have to ride before he was 60 kilometres from home? Well, if this is the formula and we want to basically know how many hours it takes him to be 60 kilometres from home, so what I'm going to do is make 60 equal to the distance and then go 5 times the number of hours plus 10 and solve that equation based on what we did earlier in the year. So if I do that, I've gone a bit too far. So if I do that, we want to get rid of that. We don't want that, do we? There it is. So the first thing to do to both these sides when we solve the equations is minus 10, which is going to give us 50. It's equal to 5 times my unknown number. So then I just need to divide both of those by 5, and I'll get h equals 10, and we'll be done. That leaves the last question on the test. Max sitting under a tree reading a book. It was getting late when he wondered how tall the tree was. He was able to find out by using his knowledge of similar triangles and the fact that the tree is 1.8 metres tall and his shadow is 4.5 metres long and the measured tree shadow is 15 metres long. All of that is there in the diagram. So what is the height of the tree? Well, we can work this one out by basically setting up a division sum. Right? We take the corresponding sides in each of the triangles. So the h side and the 1.8 side are paired sides. So we can go h on 1.8 equals any other paired sides we've got. And we've got the 15 and the 4.5. So I've just got to make sure that each of the triangles is on the same side. So that means the h is the big triangle. That goes on top on the left. So the big triangle number needs to go on the top on the right. So that's 15 over the little triangle number is 4.5. And I then just need to work out what h is. Now to solve this equation, all I need to do is take this bottom 1.8 number and times it on the other side. So my h number, get over there by multiplying it. So my h number at the end of the day, kill that h, is going to be equal to 15 divided by 4.5 times 1.8. Let's see what that comes to. Good old calculator time. 15 divided by 4.5 times 1.8 is 6. It must have been a 6-metre tall tree. Congratulations to me. I have finished the exam and got 100%. Yay! Good luck tomorrow, guys. Please feel free to use these notes and take them into the exam with you as a support in working out the questions. All the best, guys.